Dangerlings. Here we are, episode 21 of Danger Recall, where we talk about episode 21 of the Danger Club podcast. We talked about this last week. We're going to stick to the same numbers. If you don't like it, well, then you can go away and then come back again and listen to this episode, because we love you. Don't go away. Don't go anywhere, Dangerless. We want to embrace you. We want to cuddle you like a kitten. We want to go, oh, you're so lovely, and squeeze you, but not too hard because you're too nice and fragile. Oh, my name's Colin Hubbard. I am going to be your host, where we talk about the old news show, Danger Recall. And with me today, I have my
guests,
Ross Harmson. Harmson, that's right. Ross Harmston. Sorry, mate.
It's all right. I got called. I had jury service ages ago, I got called Harmiston, and I was like, "There's no I in this name at all." So, anyway, we're 21. We can buy alcohol now. Yay! We're 21. Wait, it's not. That's in America, isn't it? I think.
Yes,
it is.
It's 18 here in the UK.
Yeah.
We can have.
We're allowed to buy alcohol in America.
Yay! That other voice you can hear is James Lockhart.
Hello.
We're talking a bit like Beelzebub, aren't we? Yeah. Let's do the whole show
Beelzebub / sort of Kenneth Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. And also Mr. Dan Thompson.
Hello, everyone. I want to cuddle you like many, many kittens. Appropriate that episode 21 is the drinking age episode, because my goodness, some drinking happens in this episode.
Yeah, man. We made mistakes, Dangerlings, and drinking.
It's only taken us 140 episodes to make those, to change those, but we're doing it.
This is episode 21, Carpe Diem. Which I think is a little pun on fish. Am I right, Dan?
It's absolutely I think this is my favorite episode title of all time. I think this is the best pun we've had. Spelt DM, of course, is in Dungeon Master. I'm over explaining the joke, but I'm pleased with it. And my goodness, do you ever carpe the DM on this one?
Yeah. We got music from Kev, Jordan Weinstein, NCM, which is something I've abbreviated and I can't work out what it is. Sword Coast Soundscapes. It does say Colin Hubbard and Ross Budgeon, but I am not. I didn't have music on this, but my name's down there, so I'm going to take the credit.
I'll delete it.
And also, my spell checker has gone to Ross Bludgeon.
Yes.
On my notes.
Bludgeon.
How sick is that?
Yeah.
Now, the intro for this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love this. We've been trying to get... so Drums family came into the studio and we sort of pressed record, and we were sitting there for about half an hour trying to get Willow, his little girl, to say hello. Because at the time, we were all doing the impressions of MZ going, hello, or the impressions of Colin, actually, not MZ, going, hello, which is a bit Bubba, actually, for about an hour. We were sitting there trying to get her to say it, because apparently she'd been saying it all the time and she wouldn't say it. So we were like, and we gave up. And then all of a sudden she started saying, I see you. So we started recording that. And then we got her, she just started saying Batman, which is so sweet.
So cute.
And then I tried it one more time and I went, hello. It was brilliant. It was such a cute intro, and then we all cheered and it was brilliant.
It's adorable. I love how much time we spent that day with Drum trying to get Willow to say things on mic, and now that we're recording remotely, he spends most of his time trying to get her to not say things on mic.
Yeah. It's that old saying, isn't it? You spend the first few years of a child's life trying to teach them to walk and talk, and then you spend the next 10 years trying to tell them to shut up and sit down. It's Yeah, well, you made your own bed. Parents out there, you made your own bed. All right, we talk about DMQs. I'm just going to brush over DMQs a little bit, but we had an episode of DMQs in between 20 and 21, didn't we, Dan?
Yeah, it was the idea to do basically what we're doing now, to have a look back at the episode we'd just done and do a few sort of behind-the-scenes stories and answer listener questions and things. And it was kind of fun. Drum came up with the name DMQs while we were recording it because we hadn't come up with a name, and he just said it on air, and we were like, oh, okay, I guess that's the name. And it was fun. It was a bit hamstrung because it was meant to be something we could all kind of come in on, and it was like, oh no, it's just me. So
if I remember correctly, what happened is I had an audition, Dangerling, so I had to leave the studio for like a couple of hours. So what happened is I was like, look, I turned up on the day and I was like, look, I've got to go off, and everyone was like, it's all right, don't worry, what we'll do, we'll record something else. And then you came up with this idea to do, you'd been talking about this for a while, saying I'm going to do this thing where you can ask me questions about the game, and we were like, yeah, we'll do that. So I left the studio and just told them how to press record and everything. And basically, Drum sort of saw the mic and went, oh, that's the wrong way round. Turned it around. And then you two recorded DMQs, and the microphone was the wrong way round, and so I had to I had to do loads of editing on that to try and up people's voices. If you listen back to it, it's still a really good episode. God. But yeah, I had to put loads of plugins and stuff like that to make it sound anywhere nice.
It came out all right. In our defence, Louis Theroux did that on Grounded the other week, so it's easily done. But
easy to do.
My favourite thing about that was that it was meant to be about listener questions, but we didn't have that many listeners at the time. So and we hadn't really given them any notice. So most of the questions were written by Drummond or by characters that Drummond had invented in his head.
Yeah, it's good though. I like the DMQs. We did about 4 episodes. I quite like them. They're a lot of fun. It's kind of like Dangerous Wednesdays, but listening, isn't it? So
I do miss the immediacy of like having a spoilerific show where we can go back and talk about episodes that have recently aired. I think that's fun. I'd like to be able to have something like that again sometime, but
maybe Dan. We can't always get what we want though. You can't always get what you want. All right, stop, because we do a little intro here. Sort of freestyles a bit of Vanilla Ice Baby. Do you think I've deep dived on this?
I don't know if you have deep dived on Vanilla Ice before.
Of course I have. Well, I have today anyway. Vanilla Ice Baby. Use the bass line from Under Pressure by Queen. If you don't know who Queen are, then get a life. It was initially released as a B-side. I didn't know this. So Ice Ice Baby was released as a B-side to Vanilla Ice's song Play That Funky Music. One of Vanilla Ice's cover songs. He obviously raps and then uses that as the chorus. But then when DJ David Morales, big famous DJ at the time, still famous as well, played Ice Ice Baby, it began to gain success, and now Ice Ice Baby is the first hip-hop song to top the Billboard Hot 100. It also went to number 1 in Australia, Belgium, the Netherlands, NZ, Ireland, and the UK. Ice's real name is Robert Van Winkle.
I can see why he changed that.
Why did he change that? That's the best stage name.
Tradition of rappers having really bad names, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that to a bunch of rappers though, because they might shoot me. There was a copyright infringement which was settled out of court, and he paid money to the members of Queen and David Bowie.
Didn't he? I think the rumor was at the time he paid a lot of money. Like they pretty much took the profits of that song. It was quite a lot. I don't think they took a lot. I mean, it's been exaggerated. It's the same. There's another story about he had to sign some rights over to another rapper. I can't remember the rapper's name, but I remember that it was dealt with by a guy called Suge Knight, who used to own Death Row Records, who used to sign Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and people like that were part of Death Row Records. Anyway, Suge Knight is a big like old bouncer. He's huge, massive guy. He's in prison now, I think, but he basically made him sign over some money as well to this other rapper, because this other rapper said that he wrote a part of Ice Ice Baby, and I don't think that was true. And yeah, there's a whole other story where someone said that Vanilla Ice was dangled out of a 15-story balcony window by Suge Knight. I saw an interview with Vanilla Ice and he said, no, that didn't happen, but he did take me out on a balcony and kind of look down.
and that was enough for me to sign over $3 million or something.
Wow.
But
who would you rather owe money to, Death Row Records or Brian May? Like, who of those is more intimidating? Because I'm not sure.
All right, that's enough about Vanilla Ice. So we go on this new adventure, which was voted by Dangerlings, and we talk a little bit about alignments. I'm not going to go into that too much, but we talk about that quite a bit. This is the first. We have our first tweet us. Yeah, this is our first tweet us. Because we've said, maybe give us a tweet or something like that to people. But this is the first tweet us. Can we remember who it is? I know Dan's listened to this episode. Do you remember who it is, James
Scott.
and Ross?
Scott.
You think we said tweet us, Scott?
Why
I thought
tweet
you meant
Scott.
Who said it? As in, like, is it tweet us Iron Man?
It's not
tweet us Robert Downey Jr.
No, it's not Robert Downey Jr. That comes way later. It was me who said it. I am so happy it was me, Dangerlings. I'm so happy that I started this trend.
Damn it.
I said tweet us, and the first one, the one that we get first is...
Are you doing Bowie though?
Oh, it's David Bowie.
Is it Stephen King?
No, Stephen King is not...
It's come out of Stephen King.
Not.
Is it France?
No, it's not. It's Nietzsche.
Nice.
That's our first tweet.
Yeah, actually, I don't think that's correct. I think it was another one. I made a note of it, and now I've forgotten it. Shit, I'm gonna have to come back to you after this episode. But Nietzsche, we do say tweet us, and then we badmouth Stephen King a lot, and we ask him to tweet us.
Are we going to keep a record of who we've asked to tweet us? Because I think that should be a thing that's done.
I know this is what it is. I say Plato if you want to email or tweet us. That's the first tweet us, right? So it's Plato first.
Nice.
Dan, are you keeping a list of this, or is it just someone else?
I am not keeping a list of this one. I've got a list somewhere on my phone of our list of beefs from ages back. But
yeah. All right, so this is the beefs. This is the tweet us. Starting from here. Here we go. I don't know where I'm going to keep this list because I've got everything open.
I'll do it.
All right, Ross is going to do it. Even though he might not be here on different episodes, we'll get someone else to do it as we go along. So the first tweeters...
In the shared folder.
Yeah. First tweeters was Plato. Second one was Nietzsche. And then we're going to add Stephen King to that because he's got loads of grief from us. And then, James, you say this is going to be misery for him. Oh, actually, no, that was me. And then you say, this is it, or something like that. It's really good. We start the episode 24. We started 24 minutes late, actually. But I think it was a nice reflection, and we did all those alignments. It was a really good, chat, actually. It was like doing a danger recall within the episode. It was kind of fun. And
I seem to remember there was a sort of almost conscious decision to do that because we just finished Murder's Mark. So we were like, let's have a bit of a longer chat about what had gone on and things like that. We thought it would be quite nice.
The lobby music went like 7 times round or something, so it was kind of maddening at the end. Looking back on it, I probably would have changed that. Now, when we start the episode, lovely little Easter egg, and I have to take credit for this as well. And I'm just really happy myself that I did this. No, I just am. I'm so happy because when I listened to it, I was like, oh shit, that's fun. I like that. The music used in Benevic's Tavern is the same music being played in the same tavern in episode 1. Oh!
Whoa.
Oof. That's standard, isn't it? You get that one compilation CD that just goes round all the pubs use the same music.
Yeah. Ocean
Very
true.
Well done. That is good.
But I liked it. I thought it was a nice little Easter egg, and I really wanted Dangerlings to kind of tweet us and kind of go, "Oh, you use the same music," but no one ever did. So again, this is just
tell us if you noticed.
Yeah.
And you just didn't tweet.
How many did notice? The day is ours. That's what we get given. That's the sentence Dan used, and bloody hell do we use it.
I have never regretted a phrase more than the day is yours. That was. I should say we didn't say this. Carpe diem is Latin for seize the day. That's what the episode is about. I like that we'll do a deep dive in explaining what the Avengers are, but I'd be like, but you know Latin, right?
Yeah, right. Now, we don't role play breakfast. If we were doing this game today, we would role play breakfast, man. I tell you, because Oh my goodness, we miss going out for breakfast. We really do. So we would do that. We invent the Danger Club sandwich that we don't actually go into. We talk about burning a tent. So we that's where that comes from. Someone says, "Oh, let's go and burn Velda's tent." There's a poster behind someone saying "cathartic," and Fulton reads that and says it. And Caragor's like, "What did you just say?" And he's like, "Oh, it's on that poster over there." He's doing it like a big like Kaiser Soze like moment there.
This pub just has a big poster that just says catharsis.
Yeah. And Caragor says, "I don't want to jump a shark. Actually, let's go and jump a shark," which is brilliant. Yeah, it's great. And then we go to see Veldane. She's questioning her whole life. She's like, "I don't know if I should be a sheriff anymore," because we've just like exposed the fact that she's a shit. She's a shit sheriff.
She was a shit sheriff. Like her town was riddled with troubles and drug problems, and like it's like inner city, like sort of Los Angeles in this tiny little coastal village. You're like, what are you doing?
But then we tell her about the guy with the cats, and he's just turned into dogs, and she's like, "I now have a focus. I now have a thing that I need to do," and she walks off with focus.
I really want to do a spin-off of Sheriff Veldane and Bobby Mack bringing down this international dog smuggling ring at some seaside town. Yeah. I think if we do it like a cop spin-off, that's our one.
Didn't we talk about doing that? We were going to sort of do those characters as well, weren't we? We're going to pick like characters from that town, and we were going to just do a cop.
Bark.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun. We invent back rations. We talk about pocket meat again, and we invent shoe cheese in this episode. All improvised by Ross Harmston.
Oh yeah. You get the best impro quality with me.
Yes, the walking buffet.
Now, back rations. We haven't heard much about back rations since episode 21.
We really let that go, didn't we? We really let you get away with back rations.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
I didn't even remember that. Did I just say I pull out some back rations?
Well, you say, "I've got pocket meat, back rations, shoe cheese."
Back rations. Because you put them in your backpack, and they're back rations.
I guess that just never stuck as much as the other two.
It's catchy.
We talk about making Velda eat some shoe cheese. We really bully Velda in this episode.
I have to say, there's a lot. I'm not spoiling anything else, but there's a lot of bullying Velda in the next few episodes. Like, it is pretty unrelenting. But
we're sorry, mate. We didn't mean
to. It wasn't me.
Hey, but the Dangerlings love you more now. See?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you always back the person that's being like bullied.
Yeah.
Not condoning bullying, by the way, just to let you know that.
No, Peter Parker,
Yeah, see, and everyone likes a loser.
I was going to say underdog.
Are you literally bullying me on Danger Recall?
Yeah.
God, 2 years later, and you're bullying me all over again.
This whole episode, with everything that happens to Velda and to everything else, backs up this sort of a theory that a lot of people have about adventurers, which is that basically their alignment is entirely dependent on how much they have to do. Like, if they have a day where they've got nothing left to do, they rapidly slide towards chaotic/evil. Like, they're really, really goodly if they're fighting the Archlord, but if they wake up and they haven't got any work, then they'll just start terrorizing the town.
They're like Marines, aren't they? They're just like, they've got a day off and they're just like, come on, fuck shit up.
Yeah, that's true. Like, that is an army principle as well. You've got to keep people busy. Because the devil works for idle hands. So,
Yeah, otherwise they just start fighting each other and stuff like that. I mean, I've been out to marine houses and they've all been really nice, actually. So in saying that, I take it back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure that no one in the armed service would bully a wizard so hideously as the Danger Club. They're all
we do bully you. We do the tent burn chat, and then we go and get to your tent. We've got tent burn, and then we go to get to your tent, and you go, "Oh, look, let me just get some stuff out of it first." And then Fulton throws a torch while Velda's in there.
Yeah, he does.
Do you know what I mean?
Fulton doesn't know anything about banter. That's his excuse.
He's that marine, isn't he?
He knows exactly.
I don't know. I think that card's getting a little bit tired and dog-eared now. Like, Fulton didn't know what he was doing. He literally watched Velda walk into his tent and then tossed a lit torch after him. Like, it's got nothing to do with banter. It's got nothing to do with like spatial awareness. That is just, you tried to burn me to death.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Hey, we're all friends.
Yeah,
you know?
I have, however, credited Fulton with a kill for Velda's tent.
Sure, yeah.
I feel like
In the cards, some cards fall out onto the floor. Your kind of predictor, what are they called?
Tarot cards.
Tarot cards, yeah. In the cards, we see a journey, a reunion, and death. So,
yeah,
this planning MZ's death? Who knows?
Well, there is some foreshadowing there. I knew obviously be going on a journey. I already knew that there'd be a reunion at some point because there were characters you were going to meet, and so that was there. So death was a bit of a maybe. Like, I'd looked at the adventure, I was like, that looks pretty tough. It looks harder than the one they've been on before. So there's a chance of that. If not, there are certainly NPCs in this who are going to be in danger, and there are relationships that you meet. I mean, it's a fantasy role-playing game. Someone will probably die somewhere, whether it's a player character or someone else.
Yeah, and just a point that in tarot readings, death doesn't necessarily mean actual death. It could be
the death of a relationship,
the death of a relationship, the ending of a sort of something you're doing or things like that. It's not a literal card.
Yeah.
Imagine we did the next adventure path and nobody died, and we went to Dan. So what did that tarot card by death mean? And like, oh fuck! There was an old lady that was crossing the road. She had a heart attack, and she just randomly died.
The death of Velda's tent, because
yeah,
I'd have been like, remember when you were leaving and some guy just ran out and stabbed Travis to death in the street, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now we talk to Scavenger Bert about sharks and river sharks and the myth of a river shark, because we want to jump over a shark. Now, before we go and jump sharks, before we go to the river, Dan has a very brief backstory for Scavenger Bert. If you don't remember Scavenger Bert, what he does is he kind of scrapes Velda's burnt tent into a bag as we're going down to the river.
I feel like we really enjoy our NPCs now in the game, now that we get the Dangerlings to name them, and we like our incidental NPCs and the weird backstories they had. So I thought it was unfair that Scavenger Bert just appeared, swept up a burned down tent and then left. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Scavenger Bert. Scavenger Bert lives in the hills near Ilsurian, and he's been involved with in a cold war with the local skulks for about a decade over who gets the town's crap. The Treaty of Filthy Hollow 3 years ago resulted in an uneasy peace where Bert would get all tent-related plunder and the Skulks would get everything else. With the loss of Keemith and Onami, the balance of power was forever shifted, and the Great Garbage Wards later consumed the Knights as both Skulks and Bert battled for control of the town until eventually all of them were killed in a shootout between local law enforcement and the Guild of Dogs.
Wow.
So he had an agreement where he would get tent-related. How often does that come around?
He's a bad negotiator. Really bad.
That was the white gold concordat of our campaign. Like, it was just bad. That was a bad peace treaty.
Oh my god, that was nice.
I bet he was loving it that he saw a tent.
That was his paid. His ship had come in.
Yes, a tent for me. All right, so now we go down to the river. There's a cargo boat and a half orc. And she says that river sharks are extinct. Shania cuts herself and drips it in the water to attract the sharks, giving herself 1 hit point of damage. Fulton jumps in the water. This is one of the first jumps from Fulton. How deep is your river? We sing that. We had a tweet about that quite recently, didn't we? Someone's catching up on the episodes.
Yeah, we did. I was just reading it recently.
Yeah. I don't know the guy's name, but he's jumped on to the episodes and he's bloody loving it. Isn't he? But we do. How deep is your river?
His name is the Power Principle.
Power Principle. There we go. Big up.
Big up.
Yes, if you're listening. Thank you, Power Principle.
I assume that's not his actual name, but yeah.
Yeah, we do How Deep Is Your River. We sing that, which is How Deep Is Your Love by, obviously, the Bee Gees, covered by Take That. Not a bad cover by Take That, actually. Anyway, not going to deep dive on that, not today. A crab comes, we do eyes pop out of the water and Velda tries to hit it with a crossbow. A crab comes out. The guys sing Crab People. Now, I don't sing this because I didn't know what it was.
Crab People.
Now I do know what it is, but does someone else want to tell me?
Explain?
Ross, why don't you explain?
from South Park.
Yeah, I know it now.
Yeah, so there's I can't remember the episode, but there's an episode where they go, there is literally crab people, and they go, crab people, look like crab, talk like people, or something.
How these act like people.
Yeah. They're in the video game as well, Stick of Truth, like you go into, there's a scene, I won't go into detail, but there's a scene where you go into a man's bum hole and there's some crab people. I don't know
already
why.
more detail than
probably right. We're deep diving on something that we really didn't want to deep dive on. So
don't deep dive into the bum hole for crab people.
No,
deep from South Park.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you. I didn't know what that was. I do now, obviously. M shoots, Smack talks and misses. Caragor thinks he's seen a shark. Dan mentions that this is the Brexit of combats because we didn't need to get into it. But let's not talk about that. The crab grapples Fulton. Shania casts fire sneeze, and then Caragor kills the crab. Shania sneezes again. Caragor leaps over, misses the fire. Thinks he's jumped a shark, but Fulton takes a lot of fire damage. We're covered in dead crab. And that's pretty much it. Then we go
There's
back
a lovely bit where M shouts. M's got a really good sort of Fulton moment as he's running off to do something dumb. And M did a few of these like early on when Fulton would run off into trouble. M would yell after him, and they were really useful for making recaps whenever you need like a half-second dramatic sounding thing when a fight's kicking out. So I just had a little library of M yelling Fulton that I would just throw into recaps when I wanted to add drama.
Nice. Yeah, that's it. And then we kind of meet. Do we meet Murgatroyd at the end of this episode?
I think briefly. You get officially given the quest by Almara Dellison. So like it's smash cuts from the fight in the river to all of you covered in filth and eating crab in the meeting.
Yeah.
And she hires you to go to Caermarga with Travis.
And she tells us that the captain's name is Murgatroyd. That's correct. Yeah, I didn't understand.
Captain de Murgatroyd, yes.
Captain de Murgatroyd. Now, Murgatroyd is a reference to Snagglepuss says it mostly. It's also mentioned in a prog rock song by a band, I think. I can't remember who it is, actually. But it's also an English surname. That's where it comes from. It's an English surname.
It is. Do you know where the inspiration for it? I know of it from old Hanna-Barbera stuff. It was the name of my dad's heart surgeon around this time when he was in hospital. We were for meetings, and I was just like having in these meetings, but also by like, it's a pretty cool name. Just write that down on my phone. I think that will be appearing in the podcast.
And that's that. We didn't do a synopsis for this episode, but we didn't need to because it was such a. I mean, basically, we could have said at the beginning, the gang go and jump a shark.
Yeah.
Basically,
I've got a question for Dan.
Go on.
Was any of that how much of that was in your notes? And how did you stat the crab and all that stuff?
Surprisingly, more of it was in there than I was expecting, and I managed to get in a few bits that I quite liked. I managed to get in the scene with Feldane, like a final farewell to Feldane on the way through while we're doing that, to sort of sign off those characters, say goodbye to them. Managed to introduce the ship, because the boat that goes past with the half-orc on it is the Biston Bear that you're going to end up on. Yeah. And the half-orc is the one that Caragor chats to a lot on the ship. So we managed to kind of foreshadow a little bit of that and managed to get a briefing in at the end for the other stuff. But yeah, everything else that happened in the middle of that was completely out of the blue. I usually have a list of monsters of around the right level. So as soon as you decided you were going to go and hunt a shark, I was like, okay, aquatic creatures of this level, let's see what we've got. And there's usually, if you run a lot of Pathfinder or D&D, there's usually a crab for it. You know, much as in nature, most things are. There's a great cartoon, I can't remember who did it, of God being like, I've invented a new creature, and an angel's like, new creature or crab? He's like, it's a crab, because crabs are everywhere. So there's always a crab of an appropriate level to throw at your party. If in doubt, make them fight a crab.
Fair enough. And did we? I'm presuming in the show we explained where Jump the Shark comes from. because of course it was the sort
we didn't.
Well, it's the series finale at the end of Happy Days, and it was regarded as so stupid when I think it's the Fonz, he's water skiing, and then a shark comes along and he water jumps over the shark, and it was so ridiculous, and it kind of killed the show, and then it became famous as like, you know, a show has jumped the shark because they've done something so stupid that everyone's like, nah, I'm done, and just walk away.
You know, there's a reverse phrase, there's an opposite phrase of that called Riker's beard, which is the point where a show suddenly becomes good from where Commander Riker got a beard in Next Generation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we can only dream of Riker's beard.
There was a whole thing in, I think it must have been The Guardian, where they said about how shows don't get time to do that anymore. We don't get Riker's beard moments.
No.
We're getting to the point where if shows aren't an immediate hit, then they quite often get cancelled by their networks.
That is correct. It's kind of like the network, the kind of Netflix effect and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they will, especially in the States, they will, if something doesn't get the figures in the first 1 or 2 episodes, they just pull it.
Yeah,
which is
think
mad.
about it. We've got shows
effort.
that aren't finished, like the Ozark. I think that's not being finished, is it? The Glow is not being finished.
Yeah, Glow's
Sabrina was rushed to a quick ending.
Yeah,
and a lot of these older shows, they took years. I mean, the US Office wasn't a hit until season 3. Nobody watched it. Everyone thought it was just going to be pants.
Yeah.
And then it halfway through season 3, it became big. It was like, oh, all right, okay. And then the actors started getting like full-on contracts and stuff. So it needs that time to grow. It needs that time to kind of sit there in the public arena and mature.
It absolutely does.
Parks and Rec.
And a UK example, because some of these shows were good from the start, but Only Fools and Horses, which is a legendary UK comedy programme, like huge part of the comedy scene over here, and that literally sort of just got terrible figures for its first sort of season, and but the BBC's policy was like, well, no, because we'll just let it develop its legs, see if it goes somewhere, you know, and it turned into this legendary comedy program that's influenced a huge swathe of stuff. And
Blackadder was both rubbish and unbelievably expensive.
Yes.
The first series.
The first series,
so much money, and somehow they got a second one and made one of the greatest shows ever.
They did get a second one, but one of the caveats was, we're doing it on a much smaller budget. So, you better make it good, and you better make it good on a fraction of what you had the first time. And, of course, actually, sometimes, I can't remember, there's a lovely expression for it, I can't remember, but, you know, necessity breeds genius kind of thing, where it's like, no, you're going to have to cut it back, and actually, in doing so, made it really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, some could argue that the same thing happens with music as well. A lot of bands didn't find their feet until like 3 albums in. Blur say that actually their first album, they feel like if they released their first album today, they wouldn't get any further than that. They would just kind of stop. It took them until like halfway through their second album before they really, you know, they started finding their feet as musicians. And then their third album was, you know, Parklife. So if you don't know who Blur are, check them out. Anyway, we need to round this off.
Well, I can tell you there aren't a lot of shows that manage to jump the shark on their 21st episode and are still going 100 episodes later.
Yeah. Thank you very much to my guests, Ross Harmston.
Thank you.
To Dan Thompson.
Cheers, everyone. It was fun going back over this one.
And young Foxy Lockhart.
Oh, you are welcome, young man.
Get on the Discord, get on the Twitter, get on the Facebook. Come talk to us. We are here if you need us. Don't be lonely. Dangerlings, we love you. Goodbye.
Turn, burn.
Looks like tent covered in fire.